Welcome to Serial Podcast 9.
No dice. All right. Let's start the episode. Someone do the introduction.
Welcome to Serial Podcast 9. I'm Gerard.
And I'm Kevin.
And I'm Ryan Benoit. And this is Serial Podcast 9, which Gerard already said. Because he forgot how the introduction works.
Well, sometimes you got to switch it up.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like it's nice to be consistent. It feels like coming home, you know?
Okay.
All right. Well, it's fine. It's been 2 weeks since we did our last episode. So that makes sense.
I miss you, man.
We
been a while.
I just saw you the other day.
all the time. I didn't see Kevin because Kevin was on a fantastic voyage on a motorcycle around everywhere, it looked like. But he made it back, and that's what's important.
We're here. We're doing it.
Again, if you want to see Kevin do fun things, you should follow his Instagram account, which is is it Kevin_Serial9?
It is Kevin_Serial9.
Good.
Just type in Serial9 and then some sort of word, and they usually come up.
Some sort of word.
Well, you can get like Jake Serial9, Kevin Serial9, fucking, I don't know who else Serial9, you know.
Gerard Serial9, personal.
There should be a Ryan Serial9 pretty soon here.
Shouldn't I just always be me?
Shouldn't I always be me?
Yeah.
Indeed.
Shouldn't I be me?
Hey, Ryan, you do you.
All right. Well, good. All right.
I heard you got a question for us.
I got a bunch of questions that I didn't even ask. So
rapid fire.
I will not even be needed in this podcast because you guys could just read the questions. Yeah. All right.
Okay. Ask it, bro.
Question 1.
Yeah.
Hang on. Okay. So the first one.
What's your favorite breakfast cereal?
What is your favorite breakfast cereal?
It's like, what is that shit called?
If you have to Google it, it's not your favorite.
No, it's got a name. It's like,
yeah, of course it has a name. It's a breakfast cereal.
Yo, let me guess. It comes in a box, dude.
Yeah,
it's not like Fruit Loops or any weird shit like that. It's like one of those ones where it's like
weird.
It's like oats and it's like triple berry something or other, like
some fancy, weird, unique shit. Because it's Gerard.
Not. It's like just
you could only buy it at Whole Foods.
Yeah, Gerard fucking.
That's that muesli stuff.
I just bought some cinnamon toast churros cereal that I'm excited to try.
Dude,
that sounds real healthy there.
Yeah, that's some fucking fat kid cereal is what that is. I don't even care. It was on sale.
I think the only cereal we have in the house right now is Dunkaroo cereal.
What are you guys, fucking 12?
I don't need cereal, man. I
don't really do well, come on, Gerard. You and your healthy ass cereal. Get out of here. That's not exciting.
Yeah.
You're the peasant of cereals. You may be the king of sedans, but you were a cereal peasant.
That's because I'm too busy eating fucking crepes, buddy.
Okay, so that is that's a funny segue into that guy that got mad at me for defending you on Facebook and then booted me out of the group. And he
what happened there? What's up?
Called you Frenchie. He's like, I don't care what that French guy does. And I was like, he kept calling you Gerald as well. And I'm like,
I know.
How do you slander a person in their business and not know the name? Like, it was just like, if you're gonna do that,
not even know who you're insulting. Yeah,
maybe it's some sort of thing where like the guy didn't get a shout out or something on JZX. I can't even remember what happened, man. People are like, oh, like you ripped everyone off and this and that, and I was like, no, I didn't, but sure, like,
that was his thing. But
and then it was like 10 or 15 years later, he's still super mad about, like, I don't even know what it was.
He was so mad that he wouldn't have a grown-up conversation with me. Like, I wasn't being disrespectful. I don't think I was. Maybe I was being a bit snide because I was like, Gerald? Who's Gerald? And then they like, someone said you could buy me. Someone was trying to sell upper control arms.
It's pronounced Megan, bro.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Megan.
sure it's not Megan.
Well, fuck, whatever. I don't buy that shit, so I don't care. He can be whatever the fuck he wants to be. I don't need that.
Yeah, right.
Might as well be horse shit because I'm not buying it. I don't know. The guy just got real uppity. All I did was point out. I was like, "Hey, do you run this part?" And he's like, "I'll never run Serial9 parts." And I was like, "Okay, well." To be fair, if you don't run the part, I don't know if you can have a valid criticism of the part.
Yeah.
He got very upset, kept calling me a moron and an idiot. Like, look, he was an admin.
Yeah.
And if it's very...
What group was that?
Man, I don't even fucking know. It was one of those like shitty ass like dumb like GS/Aristo appreciation.
Well, isn't it?
group.
I'm just gonna get kicked off that one now too.
I'm sure you're probably not even in that one. It was a ridiculous conversation, and the guy didn't even let me respond. And this other dude was like, yeah, I love their parts, and there's a reason why I spend that amount of money on their parts. And he got mad at that guy for saying that. And then, yeah, so my thing was like, hey, if they suck, they'll fail. But if they're good, then chances are they'll continue to prosper. And if their like service is good and their parts are good, like I'm saying that they are. And this other guy's saying, and then before I could even put that, he's like, no, banned, you can't respond to me. And I just thought, like, this dude has to be like well into his 40s.
Yeah.
The level of being that juvenile to be like, I won't have a conversation with you. And then this was just like, as it happened, I'm like, yo, this is exactly why we're saying, like, you can't fucking trust these Facebook groups.
Exactly.
It was a really weird thing. I mean, my wife was like, you seem a little bit upset by this. I'm like, man, I just wanted to have like a fucking conversation with this dude. And he was being a child. Like he was just being a whiny kid about it.
Oh, you should see some of the posts, because I used to be part of like, what was that, like GS 300, like Lexus Owners Club, or like, it was like a forum or whatever.
Yeah.
And I would post on there here and there, but like most of that stuff was pretty like,
it was basically the only Lexus forum there was.
Yeah, but it was like
because I'd imagine a forum for Lexus is there's not a whole lot of guys 10 years ago doing it the SerialNine way,
Yeah. Like when I posted I had short knuckles, they're like, what's that? Why would you ever do that? That's unsafe. Or like I posted a picture of my car and they're like, oh, your camera's fucked up and this and that. And I posted my car drifting and they're like, oh, cool. Like they like just didn't even like say anything, because I guess a drifting Lexus or a drifting similar Lexus is just not cool. And then, that guy would occasionally post in there and he'd just be like, fucking SerialNine, like the worst company in the world. Like, I hate them. They ripped everyone off and, just went away with their money. And I'm just like, okay, A, I'm still here. Like, B, I never did that. Like, C, there were tons of like satisfied customers, but I like sort of closed off that Cressida business a long time ago because I admitted that I couldn't like keep it up. So but I never like took off with anyone's money. I just like finished what I had started and then, restarted many years later with Kevin when I was like, okay, like I know what's involved now. Like you actually need to have like people that know what the fuck they're doing. You have to be depending on these machine shops that like aren't screwing you, or like you need to be able to do drawings, like all sorts of stuff. Right. And it was like, I was a kid, man. And I like did the best I could. And like, honestly, like grew the Cressida community more than anybody at the fucking time possibly could or did. It was what it was. You know what I mean? But the guy,
anyone who's come and asked their money in the time being has got.
Oh, actually, no, we offered. Was it?
Oh, is that the same guy?
I don't know. So there was
a guy. That gotta be the guy.
Or something like that.
Yeah. So I wrote. Okay. So yeah, because he left.
He wrote a Google review.
Yeah.
Being like, hey, these people ripped me off for subframe bushings or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So we reached out and we're like, hey man, like, like blah, 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 blah. Like, we don't recall that. And like, that's a long time ago. But like, if you really feel that we did that, like, like we'll send you these subframe bushings or refund you the cost of the money. And he just fully was never said anything to that. And it was like, all right, well, if you just want to be salty about it forever,
that's basically what it is.
Then you do you, I guess. But like,
that was because I remember that we were fully like, yo, like, okay, this guy's clearly choked. Like maybe this happened. I don't know. So we reached out. Kevin and I wrote an email, said, hey, thanks for reaching out, blah, blah, blah. Like, here's the deal. Like, we're willing to like take your word for it or whatever. And just like, get rid of this negative, pretty like ludicrous review of SerialNine. And then he just wouldn't even entertain it, didn't even reply to it, nothing.
Yeah, that sounds like the guy, because he didn't even want to have a conversation.
We should fully keep this in and just bleep his name, because like
that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bleep his name. And I'm also going to tell you the funny part.
No. You tell me the funny part, because we have another customer exactly like this. And
the other part was like, look, sometimes I get curious when I get into like these little squabbles on the internet, and I was like, I'm going to search like,
who is this guy?
Who am I fighting with? Like, am I fighting with like a top dog? Like he's an admin? Like, am I going to fuck myself over? in some weird community way. Like, I don't know. And I wasn't even really arguing. I was trying to be respectful. And so I like searched all his posts and I was like, man, this dude's fucking like asking people to buy like bolts for his like
RCAs.
No, not even his RCAs. It was to put in like the shifter cover, like, hey, for the center console. And then people were like, why don't you just go to a hardware store? He's like, because I'm asking for Lexus bolts. And they're like, well, Lexus is going to charge you a bunch. He's like, that's why I'm on here. And I was like, and then like later on it was, oh, never mind. I found some in my bolt tray. And I'm like, this guy's criticizing things. Like, he's on a Facebook group that must be an extension of a forum at some point.
Mhm.
Yeah, asking for like an M6 interior bolt.
Yeah, being like, anybody got these for sale? And I was just like, oh, this is
the level that I'm arguing with.
And then
Yo,
I
what
don't
kind
even
of
think
oil
he
should I
has a
use?
car. No, I don't even think he has a car anymore because it was like I saw it was like he like sold his car. And then I was just like, so I argued with a dude that doesn't even have this car anymore, and I was just like, all he's doing is sitting in it, like holding down a Facebook group.
He's gatekeeping.
He's gatekeeping a Facebook. He's gatekeeping SerialNine out of a Facebook group. And I thought it was a little infuriating. Now I'll just have to be in one of the other 161 groups that exist.
Yeah, literally all they are is someone's ball joint falling off.
Kevin, tell us your funny story.
No, it's just like another customer. They had bought two things at two different times with two different addresses. And basically they were ready to go at the same time. And we shipped it to their address. They got super upset because they had subsequently moved from that address, but we had shipped it to the address that they told us to. He had this giant spaz attack, left all these negative reviews on Google. I reached back out to him and he's just like, no, like, you don't understand. And I'm like, dude, like, this is the address on the PayPal. This is the address you gave me on the website. This is where I sent the products. And eventually he finally figured it out and was like, oh, okay. Yeah, but like, still, fuck you guys. And then like left all the negative reviews up still.
And we've kind of leaned into this a few times. It's just like the amount of like ego is involved in all of the car world of like people refuse. It's just like a world of people refusing to be wrong is what the car world is. And then like, and like if you ever find someone that's totally like, oh, hey, like, no, you're right. Like, I'm wrong. It's mind blowing. Like
we honestly get like some like pretty dope people, man. Like I like talking on the phone. So like when people phone and they're just like, oh, hey, thanks for your time, or like, I appreciate you and stuff like that. Like, it's rad, man. And like, even on Instagram and stuff, like I saved a bunch of stuff and they're just like, hey, thank you so much for like, helping me out. Thanks for explaining that stuff. Like, it could be related to our products or even just the cars in general. They're always like super, like, there are a lot of people that are super stoked that like, I guess a lot of people think like you wouldn't even get like a response.
I do feel, that the people who are stoked outweigh those couple
sure.
Like, that's why those stories stick out, because like they are like so ridiculous and so bad that like
So speaking of Gerard, I got the first question because we said we were going to ask questions and then we never did. So first question comes from zombie__low. He's from Florida, which is pretty cool. And his question is, why does Gerard hate simple streetcars?
Hey, what?
Simple streetcars.
Do I hate simple streetcars?
I think that was the impression that was given in the last episode where
they're not enough,
Yeah, they were not enough.
No, I don't hate simple streetcars. However, for me, it's like a lot of it's in the details. I'm pretty detail oriented, so it's like if you're gonna have a simple car, like I'm all for less is more. That's totally my thing. Like less is more. Like if you're gonna have a car that's super clean, like even the Blit that I'm building, like it is a simple street car. It's not going to look super crazy. It doesn't have like chrome wheels or anything, but like I feel like you have to be creative in the overall effect of the car. Like if you're going for like a clean car, it's kind of one of those things where like maybe the normal person doesn't think that car looks cool, but in the highest of car circles, they'll realize that your car is really cool because maybe you chose like some really obscure cool wheels and like did something cool with it, or maybe the aero you have is like pretty uncommon, or maybe you chose a color that was like not a normal color for that car, or the seats, I don't know, anything. It just has to be interesting, but it doesn't have to be super over the top or flashy or whatever.
And this was sorry, I'm going to cut you off.
Yeah.
He actually, zombie _ low actually came up with the perfect analogy, because him and I had quite the philosophical conversation about Gerard. And and I think I mentioned this to you. It was like what we came up with was, he said he used to cook and people don't understand. Like he said, like, stop buying jarred sauces, like if you're going to have pasta, stop buying pasta sauce that comes in a jar.
Mm-hmm.
And then this was the analogy that we came up with. It's like, Kevin could buy a $15 jar of pasta sauce. I'd buy like an $8 jar of pasta sauce, because that's about the taste level that I have. Not for pasta. I really like pasta, but we're using this analogy for cars. So
yeah.
So my $8 jar says like work, see archives. And then Kevin's jar does like real nice $15 jar of pasta sauce. But Gerard's just at home making his own fucking sauce. That's what he's doing. He's making it from scratch, because that was the analogy. It was like, oh, it's the ingredients. And I thought that was a perfect way to wrap up, because it was like, I think we all listened to the last episode and we're like, man, Gerard sounds real hostile about like getting on like chasers and shit.
Some people got it the wrong way at first. And then after listening to it, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I kind of get it.
Yeah. And that was exactly it. It was like, oh yeah, like Gerard's the equivalent of like a chef, and I'm just like cooking at home. So that's the difference. So he's just saying like, man, if you're going to cook at home, you could cook at home way better than you're cooking at home right now. And then people are like, but I love my jarred pasta sauce. But it's like, but you can make better sauce if you just put in the time and the effort and did the research. And
it doesn't even take much, right? Like it honestly doesn't. Like you could come up with something pretty interesting. It just doesn't have to be the same way as everybody else's sauce, or like at least pick a really good one. I don't know.
Yeah, pick a good recipe.
Yeah, pick a good recipe. All right. So that was the first question, and I thought that was really great. And also,
what was the question?
It was
what's your favorite pasta sauce?
What is your favorite pasta sauce? It was, why does Gerard hate street style, like street cars?
I mean, we are all
so honestly, like that's like a never-ending scale of streetcar though.
Yeah.
Like if you live in Texas, like everything's a streetcar.
That's true.
That's true. Same with Alberta. Like Alberta is,
and Washington.
Fucking Alberta's wild rose country, boys. You can do whatever you want there.
Danger plate.
This might be a longer one. I don't know. Should we do it?
Good. That question was nothing. That was like
I wanted it to be. That's what I wanted. All right. I would like. This comes from Hank, which is great. I like that. But it's also.
My name's Hank.
2 Mercedes trucks.
Yeah. This guy has a Cressida or something.
Yeah. He said, I would like for more talk of building cars and people getting their first cars. Tips from Gerard, not Kevin or myself, just Gerard. I'm building my first car at the moment, and I feel like I have a similar vision to him, and I'm very meticulous, but I feel as though I've gone a little overboard on my first build. I'm also 23, so I'm learning a lot as I go. Ha. That's what it actually said. But yeah, talk of car buildings, do's and don'ts.
Go. I mean, Kevin?
No, he said
Gerard.
He
specifically has asked for Gerard's opinion.
Kevin and I can answer.
I have no opinion.
Yeah, after the king speaks.
Okay, I mean,
hit us with the king's speech.
If you've already started this build and you're pretty deep into it, the absolute best thing to do, in my opinion, would be to finish it. Do everything you can to finish it. And I mean, if it's, I'm pretty sure I do follow this build, and it's pretty nuts. It's come a long way very quickly. And if I'm not mistaken, it's nearly done. So yeah, man, like whatever you're doing, just keep doing it because it looks like you're on the right track. Just like totally, just make sure that you finish it and make sure that you fucking drive it. That's the absolute thing. Is because like you can get a project to 95% and that last 5% is always the hardest, man. And a lot of times what I think is like, I used to be the guy. Okay, so I used to have a shop. I was like, let's call it the like really detailed like engineering guy. And then my partner, who was Paulo, was kind of the like, let's just fucking get it done any way possible. So he would want to do it one way and I'd want to do it another way. And I was like, it's never good enough. That's not good enough. It looks like shit. And he's like, I don't give a fuck. It's done. I'm going to drive it. My shit was half the time never finished. His shit was always finished, looked kind of janky, but it was finished. So like there's always a balance, right?
But he got to drive it, I think.
Yeah, he got to drive it. So like the beauty of working with him is that like I would make his stuff look better and he would make my stuff actually work and finish. So like, yeah, that's the thing is like, so that last 5%, maybe it doesn't need to be 100%, but it needs to be 100% done. And then later on, after you're driving it, you'll probably forget about that shit. And like the details that you thought were so big kind of don't really matter because you're too busy enjoying the car. Like the wiring that you didn't tuck in properly or whatever, it might come back to bite you like a week or 2 months later, but like you got to drive the car for 2 fucking months. It's no big deal. And then later on, if you have more time, maybe in the off season next year, after you've enjoyed the car, you can be like, oh, I remember that bracket that I was going to spend 2 hours on. And, you know, I wasn't really happy with it. I could redo it, but like, just get it done, man.
Yes. All right. Yeah. We have another question here from Dodo Ryan B. And it was, Kevin, what are the do's and don'ts of building a car?
Honestly, it's really funny because like I feel like I was going to say a bunch of similar things to Gerard, where it's just like about getting it done and enjoying it, and you know, like Gerard said, it's like, you know, like, oh, I need to make a bracket to hold the power steering pump because I removed the AC on my JZ, and it's like, all right, well, I can stack up all these washers and use this OEM bracket, and it's good enough for now, and then I'll make something later, and then you put it on, and it never throws a belt. And you're like, okay, well, I guess I don't need to make like some fancy ass like billet bracket. I can just get away with this, or like, but at least you got to drive your car and enjoy it. And then one thing I would also say is like don't bite off too much at once. Like if you're like, oh, I'm gonna do a transmission swap, and then you're like, oh, well, now the car's apart, I might as well like do all of the engine refresh. And like, oh, you're like, oh, while I'm doing the engine refresh, I might as well do the engine mounts. And it's like, oh, well, now the whole thing the whole thing's apart, so I might as well drop the subframe out. And it's like, well, now you have like 2 weeks worth of work to get back to that running state. Whereas if you just did the transmission swap, like you said, then you got it done, you managed to work out all the kinks. Now you can do all the maintenance, and then once that's done, you can move on to the next thing. But like, if you bite off too many things at once, then you'll never get them all done again, it feels like.
Yeah. And one of the things too, I feel like it's a fairly North American thing, but I feel like it's just car guys that are really into building or really into whatever. A lot of people don't appreciate what is sort of like achievable with like not a lot of shit. You know what I mean? Like, there are guys out there drifting completely stock cars, like shredding. And then like, you know, then you're out here, you know, you got engine mounts, you got a triple disc clutch, you got diff bushings, subframe bushings, angle kit, fucking cams and turbo and standalone and fucking seat and steering wheel and roll cage. And it's like, that's all sick if that's what you want to do. But if you want to go and like drive your car and like enjoy it and like do all this stuff, but like, and all that other shit that you think you need is preventing you from actually enjoying this car that you wanted to build, then don't do any of that shit. Just do the minimum. Like people always ask like, oh, you got the engine out. Like, you know, if we're doing an engine swap, they're always like, oh, you already have the engine out. Why don't you do the, you know, do all the seals and the belt and this and that? And I'm just like, I don't give a fuck. I'm putting this engine in. It ran before, it's going to run again. Like I can always do the seals and the mounts and the shit. Like, you know, if it's really messed up, for sure, maybe do it. Or if it's that time to do the timing belt. But like we've done a lot of engine swaps And I want to say 80% of the time, we literally just put the fucking engine in. You drive it for X amount of K, and then you do that maintenance.
Yeah,
like if it absolutely needs the maintenance, obviously do it. But like sometimes preventative maintenance, and I'm doing fucking air quotes right now, preventative maintenance usually turns into like I'm swapping everything, and now my car is not finished for an extra 2 months because I've like bit off all this other stuff. You know what I mean? So
I mean, same thing. It's like, dude, that was a healthy running motor when it came out of the car in Japan, and now you're gonna take the head off. Like you're gonna undo everything that the factory did. Like that thing could have ran for another 200,000 K of abusive kilometers probably. Like maybe you need to do the timing belt. Like, but
yeah, it certainly doesn't need a fucking head gasket. You know what I mean?
No.
It certainly doesn't need pistons. You know what I mean? And that's the thing too, is like maybe a lot of young guys, or maybe a lot of guys that are just getting into cars, they're like, I need 400 horse, I need 500 horse. And it's like, dude, have you driven a car with 300, like Mustang dyno horses? Like that's a fast car. Like unless it's like super heavy or something like that. But like
I see what you did there. You made fun of my car underhandedly.
No,
I'll go fuck myself.
I just mean like I remember 350 horsepower on the Mustang dyno in my Cressida was fucking mental. I mean, I had a 6-speed and stuff too, so it was like a bit different, the gearing and everything, but like that was like the funnest. Like if it works too, like that's the thing, is a lot of times if you have a good working car that's really responsive and like predictable, that's gold, man. Because then you bite off more. You're like, oh, I want a bigger turbo, I want a standalone, I want this and that, and then the shit doesn't idle, and like, then you got all these fucking leaks from this new turbo, and and then you don't just enjoy the car the same, right? Like,
but I mean, it's not even like that too. It's like you're like, oh, like all right, well now like I want a bit more power, so I'm gonna get a turbo, and it's like, well, now I need a manifold, now I need a different fucking turbo elbow, I need a downpipe, now I need injectors, now I need an intercooler. Now it's a never ending thing. But like the thing is, I feel to do them, maybe do them one at a time so that you can feel those differences. And this is just becoming the whole street, like build a car versus drive a car talk all over again.
That's fine though. I think no,
I mean, I have a pretty good analogy. Like,
all right, hit me with it.
Or not an analogy, but like a literal example. So when I was a kid, or like whatever, we were all kids. I've already talked about this, but I was the guy who had the craziest car. I was building it from scratch. It was like so crazy. And my friend just went out and bought some piece of shit 18RG swapped Mango. And I was like, fuck, I guess that's cool. Like it was painted and stuff. And like, but I popped the hood and I'm like, what the fuck is this engine mount? Like, whatever, what the fuck is this weird ass? Because that engine never ever fit in that car. Right. But they had like butchered this 18RG into a Mango. I was like, I wouldn't have done it this way, this and that. But we drove that car all summer. Like we were fixing header gaskets every fucking week downtown, and like we were doing burnouts in it, getting pulled over in it, and like driving. We drove the shit out of that car. And like it may not have been the best car, but man, that car was awesome. Like
you know what that car was?
But
finished.
My big takeaway from this is that Gerard was always Gerard. Like he has always been the guy that would like pop a hood and be like, fuck that, and that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done it that way. And it's like, oh yeah, that's the Gerard I know. Shitting on chrome and shit. Totally Jody has reached out and wondered what my answer to the question is. She hasn't. My wife doesn't care about this podcast or what I think. I think you guys pretty much nailed it though. I think especially because part of this is like if you're starting out and you're building your first car, I think one of the most important things that I've learned is like probably check your ego when you're building a car, like especially your first car. Like check your ego. Everybody thinks they can do everything right out of the gate, and maybe you can. We've talked.
You're gonna slap an engine in.
Yeah, you're gonna slap an engine in, and it's like, and Kevin, you kind of said that it's like you're taking this engine apart that was like probably good for another 200,000 kilometers, and you're doing this stuff. It's like but everybody thinks they're the exception to the rule. Everybody's like, yeah, of course everyone needs seat time except for me because I'm a phenomenal driver, you know, and of course everyone needs this, you know, and we've said it in the past. It's like, how many people are actually that good out of the gate? And it's probably like maybe 5% of people when they start out are like hitting home runs out of the gate. Like I've seen a lot of dudes think they could hit a home run and then they just like got hit by a pitch and then had to like sit out the rest of the game. It hurt them too bad, or you know, like seeing people take engines apart that couldn't put them back together. And
exactly. And that was the thing too, is like I remember when I had the non-VVTi 1J, you know, I had it in the car and I just left it completely stock. The stock boost level was what, like 11 pounds or something. And I had like buddies, they're like, oh, I'm going to bump it up to like 14 or like 15. And I'm like, all right, you do that, man. And like, I'm just going to keep driving. Like, you know how long a fucking 1J can live on limiter? Like you know how long like a stock 1J will survive with no fucking coolant in it? Like it's unbelievable. But then you go and do that little bit more and it's like, oh, I blew the turbos up, and it's like, well, now I got to get a single and all this other shit, and then now I need a standalone. It's like, or you can just leave the fucking thing stock and use the every bit of power that it has all the time forever. You know, obviously, like later on, you're gonna end up doing all that turbo shit, but like sometimes it's simple as keep it simple. You know?
Yeah. If you're starting out, I think the easiest thing, and I'll pretend like I'm starting out. But this is still my mentality to things, is buy them and upgrade them as you need them, right? So it's like,
that's definitely something I've learned over the years.
So now that I've seen, like, I didn't even drift my car. Fucking Carter drifted my car. But then he's like, this thing probably needs like a diff. And I was like, okay. So that makes sense. Like that's probably will come to a point where I will need a better diff in that car. Or, you know, and it's like after our last conversation, it was like, what will make this car more fun to drive? So for me, and if you don't, again, I drive an Aristo. So it was like, what will make it more fun to drive? Well, it sounds like the AK-49 Knuckles will make it more fun to drive. And that's not just like a drifting thing. Or so like now I'm looking at those things because I was like, yeah, that isn't necessarily about making
we don't make them for your car.
Yeah, I know you don't. I'd have to fucking switch it to the Altezza.
Yes, let's do that. Let's do that. Because I had so many people with, not so many, but I had a bunch of people with GSs be like, hey, like, do you make them for GSs? I was like, well, no, but like, sort of, we're kind of doing this other thing that might work. So
all you need is like a ball joint taper adapter,
basically,
and then maybe the brake adapter too. No.
To use the GS brakes on
there? You'd want to use the GS brake.
I mean, or we could just put better brakes on Ryan's car. Period. Like,
yeah, but I just mean as you're trying to sell this to people now.
Yeah,
as a cheap alternative.
I mean, you could just use the IS brakes.
But now they got to buy the IS brakes when they have the GS brakes on their car.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the brake adapter might work, might not work. I just think the spacing's too far off. But yeah, we'll have to try it out.
Yeah, right. Well, you can use my car as the model for that.
Let's do it.
And then I will give you some money from my wallet. Yeah. But those are the things, because now it's like, as I keep driving the car, it's like, oh, well, these are the pain points. Like whenever the car seems like a little bit less fun to drive, what would make it more fun to drive? A younger me would have just been like, well, let's fucking make more power. Like this will be infinitely more fun the faster it is. And that probably is a little bit true, but it's also fun to actually take my car out and not just drive it in a straight line and have it be like handle appropriately.
Yeah.
So like,
for sure.
All right. Yeah. Also, that's like the Carter Jackson like school of thought. And that guy drives like nobody's fucking business, right?
Yeah.
It was just like, that dude, like, it seems like he's just put in the bare minimum to make the car do exactly what it needs to do.
Yeah.
And then when he grows into the next part, he gets it. And I always thought that was like way better than like dudes out of the gate being like, well, I just need everything.
Build the entire car. Yeah.
And now it's like, I have to go back to the Corolla episode. I have a weapon and I don't know how to fucking handle it. You know, like, anyway. All right.
I mean, it's probably good to note that I actually just want to drift my G35 that's stock. Like I just want like to use the minimum and have the least amount of problems. Like, I mean, I love building cars, so I love putting all that shit on my car. But at the end of the day, it's not necessarily better. It's just cooler and it has more shit on it. Whereas if I had a G35 with an angle kit and like I didn't have to worry about all these other things or whatever, like that's probably fine too. I
mean, it probably isn't because it's a G35, but
I just mean like it doesn't need any turbo stuff. It doesn't need any of that other shit.
No, but it will. You're gonna, that's the problem. It's like you'll find there's no way you're not gonna find a million things.
I mean, I'll put those long tube headers on so it sounds cool.
Jesus,
that's probably a bare
cooler.
Yeah, okay, cooler.
I wanted you guys to relive your little Instagram debate that you had today. All right. So I got one last question, and then we can talk about another thing, I guess. So Nolan Lockhart, which that's a fun name. Teza NB.
Yeah, we talked to him.
I like this one. He did write, I'd Lyle, I think he meant because he's to hear the guys take on the 7M. Why it's good, why it's bad. Does the Crested Anita 1J, or does the 7M still do the trick? Okay, and then he put at the end, he wrote with an asterisk, which I appreciate. So my joke about saying Lyle doesn't stand anymore, and I'm an asshole.
Yes.
All right, and I said,
funny. I didn't expect that from him, but that's I'll let Kevin go first on that one.
Never owned a 7M. Never would own a 7M. Had experience with them. Never had really good experiences with them. I know they had their issues. Like I think they had really small coolant passages. Didn't cool well at the back of the whole head. The head gasket torque wasn't enough. The claim was that you torqued it and then you would drive it around for a month or so and then torque it again. Like that was supposed to cure your problems with the 7M and make them better. I mean, I would take a 5M over 7M
100%
any day of the week. And I'm just talking 7M. I haven't even gotten into the turbo. That's just more problems. Yeah, I would take a 1G over a 7M. I would take the bus over a 7M.
Oh fuck, man! This is
that's how I feel about this.
There's literally okay. As a power plant, if it were stock, as far as its capabilities, not a bad motor that came in that car. I've had, I don't even know how many fucking 7M Cressidas I've had at one point. When they're working, they're pretty good. I had one Cressida that was the absolute best Cressida I've ever owned. It was, I had it as a daily. It actually had 300,000 kilometers on it. It was owned by a Toyota mechanic, and clearly he had done the head gasket or whatever all this shit was. I managed to drive that car for a year and a half, snow drifted it extensively, and it lived. It lived for a year and a half. But they all do, it eventually fucking died. So
I love how you're you're promoting this motor and you're like, yeah, man, it lived for a year and a half. And that's impressive.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not impressive.
No, and that's the thing. Every single one will die. Not it's gonna die later on. It's gonna die within the time you fucking own it. I owned one for a week. I owned one for 3 months. Shit, I think even 5Ms, I've killed so many 5Ms too, but the 7M, there's no way to put it. It is a piece of shit. And there's a reason why Toyota got rid of it. And if you think 7Ms are good, then why are they not in production anymore? Where the JZ superseded it because it's a better engine.
But the JZ's not in production anymore.
I know, but I mean,
so is the GR a better motor than the JZ?
Well, I mean, there's all sorts of different things about that, but I'm just saying, as those engines came about, and I mean, I had a friend, a close friend, who was the absolute 7M die hard, it's the best engine in the world. He had a fucking Motec, and you would turn it on and it would say not a fucking Jay-Z. Like, get the fuck out of here. Come on. Like, it literally said not a Jay-Z when you turn it on. It was like he had spent so much money on all these 7Ms and stuff. And at the end of the day, that dude still went to a Jay-Z because it's just like it's an engineering flaw. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think it had like something, like you said, the coolant passages eventually over time would just erode, and then the thing couldn't cool at the back, and then it would just overheat. And everyone's like going to say, oh, but you can get this metal head gasket, and then you can get these ARP bolts, and you can torque them to this like certain torque. And it's like, go ahead, do that. Go ahead. Put your fucking 7M together as best as you can. Use all the knowledge in the world. Do it. And then drive it.
And then
I've never met a 7M
and then make
guy,
700
so
horsepower on an unopened 2J.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
yeah, I never met a 7M person, so I can't even fathom.
They're a special type of person.
I don't think they exist anymore. Like,
yeah, they're done.
Like if you asked any, like, everyone knows what a 2J is. If you ask people what a 7M is, they'd be like, oh, that's like a Yamaha keyboard.
Dude,
yeah, I don't know.
They're still on the forums. I spoke.
Yeah, of course they're still on the forums
that recently.
because they're like old dudes who have a rotary telephone. Like,
Yeah, they're young dudes. No, they're the guys that Ryan.
Nobody's on a forum.
They're the guys that are like, oh, I can do it better. I read that you need this head gasket and you need these studs and you can torque it and it'll be perfect. It'll be perfect.
That's just because they're reading the ancient scrolls of failures.
Exactly. But I challenge.
There will always be those people, I guess, though, who just want to be different to be different.
Oh, yeah. Gerard's song is what that is.
No, Gerard wants it to work.
Gerard wants to be better, you know.
And they're like, oh, it's so much work to swap a 1J and it costs so much, and I can just do this. And it's like, dude, your time is money, man. I don't care who you are. Time is money. Maybe you got absolutely nothing to do. You're going to spend all this time working on this 7M, and then you're going to like drive it, and it's going to be super sick for fucking 10 minutes. And then be like, oh, the coolant gauge is going up. Like, oh, it's steaming. Like, every time you drive that car, you're going to be eyes glued to the coolant temp gauge. And every time it moves, you'll be like, oh my God, like, is it overheating? Is it going to blow the head gasket? You know what I mean? Like, man, every time driving a stock Crescent, it was like that. And it's like, all of a sudden the temp gauge is at the fucking max. And you're like, oh shit, it's too late. Open the rad cap. And it's just like this huge, you're just too late, man. You're game over. You're done.
I will say, that's my favorite. My favorite accent.
Sound effect?
No, favorite accent was
what accent?
The doofus one that he was doing before. Like, oh, it's so good. like,
I'm not over the head, guys. It's too late.
Yeah,
it's done. You're done.
Oh, it's the best. That's my favorite Gerard accent. The doofus. Here's the second part of that question, because it was like, does the Cressida need the 1J? And I said, perfect. I will ask. Yeah, but sometimes I like to it's like a betting system for me, and I'm like, I bet Gerard says yes to the 1J because he loves those and everything. And then he responded and said, haha, as I was typing the question out, all I could think about was exactly that. So like after the question was asked, we were like, yeah, Gerard's just gonna shit on this and be like, get a 1J.
Yeah, I mean, it needs. I mean, to me, it's like that engine came in that car. That's what a JZX81 was. So it's sort of like, if you want to build a true, you know, X8 or X chassis car or whatever, that's what it is. Like the 7M in Japan was like some sort of bullshit motor that came out for like a year or two. But the JZ was like the, you know.
And then the doofuses got a hold of it, and they were like, "Nope."
Well, no, it's because the doofuses only knew that was the only thing they knew.
That's what came in Cressidas, right? So.
Do you think there's
and the Mark III Supra?
Oh yeah,
the turbo.
right, the Mark III Supra.
Is there there's seems to be, this could be wrong, and I've had a few, so I'm going to toss it out there, and you can toss it right back. There's like the USDM Toyota guys. Yep. And then like the like JDM Toyota guys, right? Like the guys that kind of like, well, it came in the car and that should be the thing. And my only take on the USDM guys now is, because I like to put things in boxes, is now these Cressida guys and Forerunner guys Like those are the two USDM.
Those are the only two that exist still.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because like you look at a lot of like of the Forerunner shit, and
Same thing, yeah.
But
The
it's
three-liter was
all
notorious for head gasket failures.
and it's bad, and nobody wants those. But I just mean like, what I mean is like the adoption of the USDM tech or whatever.
Mhm.
So maybe these 7M guys, because like you said, they're like, that's what Toyota put in it, and that's what's meant to be in it, and that's what's meant to exist in it. But then you're like, but no, in Japan, like it had a 1J, and the 1J is a way better engine, so just put the 1J in it. And they're like, no, this is what Toyota wanted me to have, and they did it. My doofus accent isn't as good as Gerard's.
No, I like your doofus accent. It sounds like you're in Prohibition.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
What
do you mean? What do you mean I can't have the 1J? See? What do you mean? I want to have a turbo. Yeah.
Fuck these dames. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's what they're all in Prohibition from Japanese market
Yeah,
stuff. You know?
exactly.
Yeah, but Forerunners dudes are always like, there's like the old guard of like the 4x4 community that just seems to love putting like North American shit on their car, like trucks. And then I feel like as you progress now, there's like more of an adoption of like, well, maybe we should put Japanese parts on there or be more Japanese about, I don't know.
You ever heard of 1J in a Forerunner? It's fucking amazing.
I have.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you ever heard of 1J in a boat? It's amazing.
Yeah. You ever heard of
1J on a engine stand? It doesn't really matter if it's in a truck, Gerard, or a car, or a boat, or a plane.
It's just kind of cool to see a 4x4 like.
Is a 1J certified to be in a plane, a boat, and a car?
I don't think so.
I don't believe it is. No.
Just our 1UZ, our trusty 1UZ has that certification. All right. I think that is a good Q&A period that we built up after 2 weeks. Someone did think that we were ending the podcast the way we said the way we ended it, and I was like, no. Okay, so we did, or well, you guys did. I was there. You did the SerialNine Gala.
You did it as much as we did it. Don't lie.
Nah,
you were like a huge part of it.
Just hitching my wagon to some horses and going along for the ride. So we were at the gala. This is the second gala. So usually before Gala 2.
What the fuck's a gala? What the fuck's a drift gala?
What is a drift gala? The predecessor to this was the block party, which was always a big success.
Yeah.
Now we
had a block party.
Gala. So the block party was a sort of car meet that we would hold in our complex. We'd sort of try to clear out all the people down the front main entrance and just line it with cars, and it was a block party. We'd have beats, Slurpee machine,
Eric. Go on.
Yeah, we used to have, at one point we had booths, we had merch, we had all sorts of shit, and it was pretty good. It got really good for a bit, and then we sort of outgrew it, or like just didn't have time for it.
Times have changed, like the area that we were in changed, so we couldn't line the road like we did in the past.
There's just too many
we kind of ran out of time. Sometimes we tried to organize it, it wasn't as great. But then also we wanted to start drifting again, and drifting more,
shows are cool, but
drifting is more fun.
Drifting is more dope.
So then we introduced the gala.
Yeah, in 2020, we had our private half-day drift event where we invited local cars that we thought met with our vision of what a cool car could be or is.
I feel like you just invited a bunch of Toyotas.
It was also right in the heart of COVID, so it was severely limited as to what we could actually do and who we could actually have. But we invited. That's our thing. We're into sedans. We're into JZs. That's what we invited.
Yeah.
So.
Which makes sense. You're gonna have a SerialNine event. It can be JZs and Toyota sedans.
So drift gala. It's kind of like a gala for your car. You dress it up and it looks nice, and you go and you dance with your car and all sorts of shit. So
you meet some new friends, maybe you have a great time.
It's a party for your car.
It's a party. It's a night out on the town for your car.
Exactly.
So
party in your truck, and everybody's invited.
How do you feel that the second gala compared to the first gala?
pretty well.
I think the second gala was much better than the first gala.
Gerard didn't fucking TL his car this time, so that was nice.
Yeah, I rode off the Aristo at the first gala, so that was super dope.
Yeah, that was a farewell gala, is what that was.
Yeah, exactly.
The Aristo was going off to war, never to be seen.
And a year later, I still don't have another drift car.
You're almost there.
It's pretty close.
Which one? The Blit?
Yeah, your
Blit.
street car.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, the
your
street
street
car is the drift car now. Okay, cool. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, it's more drift car than your drift car is.
That's true.
Yes, that is true. I really liked the event. I thought it was really great. The first drift gala, in hindsight, is sad now looking back. Not like a sad event, but just like Kevin kept fucking up his axles or whatever, and Gerard got into an accident and hurt his neck.
Jake got into an accident too.
Jake
Like a
got
super
into an
nice
accident.
JZX9. He got mangled.
Yeah, like so. This one, I feel like
There was a bunch of things
comparison-
that didn't really go so hot on the first one.
This one was nice. It was a full day. People went out there. They drove the whole time.
Yeah, nobody wrecked. Nobody even had a minor wreck. I
Yeah,
feel.
no crashes. And there was definitely some good driving. The driving was definitely
I
better
feel
at
like the
second
driving was
gala.
better
Oh, yeah,
this time
easily.
than last time.
Easily.
Yeah.
I think the cars were nicer. There were more drivers.
Yep.
There was cars the first event that never would have got invited that were, quite nice that were there.
Yeah.
I mean, we had
What was your favorite car at the gala?
me?
Either of you. I don't care.
There was this pink Altezza that was there.
Yeah, Kevin, if you didn't say your car, you could-
It's probably my favorite car there.
Well, my favorite, definitely, of course. What do you think it is, Ryan?
I want to say Carter's car, but I don't. Maybe.
What
it
do you
isn't.
think it is? I think Kevin would probably know.
I'm gonna say Max's car.
Max's car?
Yeah.
I mean, I like Max's car for sure, but I mean, a turbocharged VK56 and like a fully crazy S13 with like IndyCar brakes and like that's the geek side of me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm all over.
I
that
honestly,
car.
I kind of forgot that car was even there. No
Yeah.
offense.
Yeah, Scram. I forgot he's the fucking
Yeah.
wizard magician. Yeah, that makes
and
sense.
honestly, like the fact that he brought that car out, I was so stoked. I'm like,
Yeah.
love that car. Like, and I honestly like have never seen it driven as much as that. Like last time I saw it was at DUI, and I think I only saw it drive like 2 times.
We talked about that, but I just remembered he drove at the event that I drove the G at Mission.
Oh, really?
And you drove the Aristo.
Ooh, that was like the first time I drifted the Aristo ever.
Yeah.
The rain event.
That rain event, yep.
Yeah, that was a good.
Because that was the
event.
first ever Mission event, and we were like, will there ever be another? And now there's like 3 a week.
Yeah.
there all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those that don't know, Chris Scremin is
Spectrum Motorsports.
and I feel like Screm's like old guard, kind of like.
Oh, yeah.
that dude,
Oh yeah, fully.
Horse Thief Mile back in the day, right?
Yep.
Like drifted there. Like, yeah, he's been around, and nobody I feel like gets what Gerard is to suspension, Scremin is to turbos.
Yeah.
Gerard's
And,
looking at me.
even way more honestly.
Yeah,
like,
all right.
Chris-
Yeah.
He's like
All
full
right.
out like guru.
Yeah, he's fucking wild. Yeah, so it was cool to see.
Yeah, I feel like he has like turbocharger patents.
Yeah, something like
really?
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some shit.
So if you're listening to this now and you're like, I want to learn more about turbos, and it's fucking just go look at Spectrum.
Maybe we'll have an episode about turbos and we'll have Screm on.
Yeah.
Fucking the magician wizard.
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah.
Jesus. Kevin, so your favorite car was the Altezza?
I mean, that's just like a super.
It should be though. Hey,
cheesy
now
thing
that
to
you
say.
say it, my favorite car I saw on track was a blue Aristo.
Honestly, that Aristo was super nice.
Yeah,
That
that
Aristo was
honestly,
dope.
like, yeah, that was sick. That car looks so good. Like
and
that.
it's sick to see that car on the track, period.
Yeah.
So I think that was and obviously, of course, Carter's car like being finished in that color, and like that sort of livery, that street style livery was pretty cool. So
Yeah, you
I
know
like
what I
cars.
was really pumped about? So our friend Marvin drives the JZX 110,
Yep.
and it has the Serial 9 6-speed in it, which is pretty fucking cool. I really like that car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always give Marvin shit about his front headlights though. 'Cause they need to be
They're like yellow.
Yeah.
I'm like, just fucking clean your headlights, Marvin. I really like that car, and he was going to build a 100, and now
Yep.
he's decided he's gonna keep the 110, and I think that's so fucking cool.
Yeah, when he messaged me and he's like, man, all I could think about on the way home was how much I love driving the 110, and he's like, it was almost like a proud dad moment that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna keep the 110. I'm not gonna build the 100. So I was like, yes. And then that was when the episode came out, when I was like, yeah, like just build something fucking better, you know what I mean? And he's like, yo, I'm gonna keep the 110. It's sick. It's like, like the world hasn't seen like that many sick 110s.
Sick 110s,
especially exactly. In North America, there's not a
for sure. Like,
I mean, the Verosa, there's like no 110s in the States, so
I feel like the
got a chance to just fucking hit home runs right now.
Exactly, totally.
Exactly.
He could be the guy.
Yeah,
versus the 100, he's never going to be the guy.
Yeah,
it's true for sure.
Or he could be like the guy that got into the market early and then like
Eric,
he's
and
a
then
pioneer.
got out of it before it was cool.
Or like Gerard with the Aristo. Like,
that's exactly
yeah. But there is a chance like that car could be, and that car is cool, and it can be so fucking cool. Like that is his car. Like is one of the cars that I'm always like, yo, if I didn't have love affair with Aristos, like the 110 is probably what I would be more into, because it looks like a fucking Corolla. So that's not a Corolla.
To be fair, he has a Mark II 110. So like, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like the Verosa gets a bit of a free pass because it's so obscure looking that like,
I can't.
You either love it or you hate it. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like you either like think it looks sick or you think it looks gross.
Oh no, I think that it can look fucking cool.
Yeah,
I just know, like, it's like know your limits and play within them, and that's outside of my limits of like how to make something like cool, like and even then,
honestly, no, I disagree, man. Like your car, translate your car onto a purple Verosa, and that shit looks fucking sick.
Yeah, maybe, but
I have the arrow for it if you want.
No, I have a car that I would prefer.
You need a 1J, not a 2J.
Is that what I need? No, I like the 2J. But we were talking, like, Carter's like, why does your car make so much tire smoke? And I was like, I don't know. It's probably
torque, bro.
Because it's a 2JZ, and that's all they do is make a shit ton of tire smoke.
Yeah, I will say the second gala was just like a great, pretty good experience. I drove my car on the track. I wasn't very good at it. And then Carter was like, I'll show you how to do it. And then I felt like a shithead. But it was still cool to get a photo.
I think it's cool that you took your car out of the track.
Yeah, totally. Did you try after Carter? Were you in the car with you obviously weren't in the car. You took the photo.
People were like, where are you going? Like, that was the whole thing. People were like, where are you going? And I was like, no, man. Like, if someone's going to drift my car, I've been in cars that drifted.
Yeah.
Whatever. And I was like,
he's getting the money shot.
I said like, and this is a shitty, arrogant thing of me. I just said like, I want a photo of my car doing something cool, because
that's not shitty or arrogant at all.
That's literally every single time.
Yeah, every time I drive my car, I want a photo of my car doing something cool. Yeah,
but it was also like, I wanted a me photo of it. Like I wanted one of my photos, because those are kind of a little bit the photos that I like.
Totally, yeah.
So like,
no, but like you were like, I want to be able to do that in my car, because then you would sit in your car.
I was like, no, what's more important right now? Like watching Carter do a thing that I still won't be able to figure out, or like doing the thing that I know how to do.
Well, he does like, what he knows how to do.
It's like, I'm gonna do the thing that I know how to do right now, because that's
If I could take photos of my car like you take photos of your car, doing the things in my car that I like to do in my car, I would be doing that all day.
Yeah, that was, and so there was it was like a very high peak to a very low, like people being like, yo, that was sick. And then I was like, yeah, but like it wasn't me. And they're like, yeah, we know, but it's sick. And I'm like, and then you're kind of like half taking credit for someone else's accomplishment. Like I feel like
I mean, it's still your car.
It's your car and it's your photo.
That, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, at the time when people were just watching it happen, they were like, oh man, like fuck, Carter really got it in your car. And you're like, you also kind of want to be the guy that can be like, get it.
Who can get it in your car?
Yeah. But I wasn't.
But you don't have the experience though.
No,
hey, man, we all got to cut our.
Dude, if you went out there and asked Carter to take a photo of you drifting your car, you get a photo of his foot.
Yeah.
Same thing.
No, I know. I often forget that, but that is the thing. And going back to like building your car, it's like
know your role.
It's like the baby steps thing though, and it's like part of me, as much as I know I'm not a good driver, part of me wants to believe there's like still a shred of me that wants to be like, yeah, but maybe I'll just hit something, like I'll hit the jackpot, or
Well,
like
I mean, maybe if you actually ever drove your car on a track.
Yeah,
well, that's just it. Like,
you know what I mean? Like,
you're gonna go out there and you're gonna suck, and then you're gonna go out there and you're gonna suck less. Yeah.
I did watch the video because Jake had the video of the car drifting, and I was like, oh, it looked like quite a bit for Carter to get it to do what it did. Like when you watch the video, you're like, oh yeah, no, that's not for me.
That's no offense, example. Is like that's one photo. Like like he could have, like it could have been like absolutely nothing. He flicked the car, got it sideways, laid into it. It did a burnout, and then it flicked back and spun out because it has no angle. And the photo looks sick.
Well, I mean,
that's all that matters.
To be honest, he kind of shredded a decent part of the track, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's Ryan's car?
I didn't see it.
And I mean, that's just it, right? Like, yeah, I could do that. And I mean, like, I took the blit out, and I mean, I don't know if it had a flat tire when I took it out or after I took it out, but I took it out for like 2 seconds, and I was just like, I can't drive this car right now. I'm not comfortable driving this car, and I don't really feel like struggling to get better today. Yeah. Like, this is not the time, this is not the place, and like the car, wasn't really running that good, this and that. And I was just like, look, man, I'm just gonna park this fucking thing and like go try to run this event. And now, you know what I mean? So
I mean, it's definitely better that you did that than like put it into a wall.
Yeah, exactly.
And be like, I gotta fucking get this. And that's how I felt.
Yeah, I'm not that guy anymore.
No, the footage of me is so awful. I deleted it immediately.
No, you deleted. I didn't get to see it.
Well, it's still on his car. You can.
Okay, good. I'm gonna.
Just like it's me.
Yeah, we're gonna watch it tomorrow. We're gonna critique it.
So you're a dumbass. Yeah, I am. I don't know what I'm doing. And anyway, but that was the thing. Going back to that, I drove it and I was like, what would make this slightly easier or my car more fun to drive? And then, like, based on our past episodes, I was like,
more power.
Or an LSD would probably help of some sort. Like,
yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ryan. The clutch that we just put in that you never had before, that made it funner to drive. The ET emulator probably made it funner to drive.
Yeah.
And now we got to finish that video.
Yeah, we do got to do that video. We should talk more about the gala, because now we're just talking about me driving my car. But
at the gala,
which was what I like. It was just a lot of, I wanted to say like good vibes, but that's a team, so we can't say that.
But I mean, it was honestly, that's what it was. It was. I was in the thing the whole day. I wasn't driving at all. So I was, running the event / socializing / checking on stuff. And like, it was super chill. It wasn't like a huge rush to drive. So there wasn't like massive lineups. Granted, there weren't that many people, but I think if you get enough time to sort of drive, and because we all know that the drifting is not the 100% of drifting. Like, a lot of part of drifting is the friends, is the socializing, is the like hanging out, is the seeing people that you haven't seen for a long time. And if you have the time to do that as well as drift with those people or with new people, that's to me what kind of makes like a really good event, or like a fun event, or like whatever, right?
No, you're absolutely right. And that was what was really nice about it. I think the first year it felt kind of like rushed. It was super hot. It was like this like weird mid-COVID thing too. And
we only had the track for half the amount of time the first time as we did this time,
and we basically fucked up a lot of that time that we had. We weren't even driving; we were doing a bunch of other stuff that we maybe shouldn't have done at that time.
But it's great. I feel like every year is a learning experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's getting better every year, and like it was already good the first year, and even better this year. So like, I'm excited for next year when like Gerard will have a car again, and we can drive together. And there's like the people who were at the first year and the second year their cars are even nicer, and there's people right now who haven't been at any of the time, and they're maybe just hoping they can come, and maybe they're in the garage building something right now to bring to the Gala 3.
So what does the future hold Is that what you could ask, right?
Yeah.
What does the future hold for the gals? Like, what are we expecting?
We'd like to keep going forward with what we're doing and make it better by like in
Having
having
spectators?
well yeah, totally, but the thing, both events so far have kind of been within the COVID realm, and we haven't really had spectators.
Private-ish.
Yeah, they've been private events. We, the drivers can bring some crew, and we have people coming out to film and people who know could, but it hasn't been an advertised thing. So, we'd like to have it as a full spectator event. Both times so far, it's been during the middle of the week. We'd like to have it on a weekend so people can come out. We've only given drivers about 30 days notice for the past two events. And that doesn't really allow people to either acquire and build a car or finish their car, maybe, especially right now with, timelines being what they are for parts and stuff. It's, like 30 days doesn't allow you to sometimes get what you need,
Hey, I ordered this part yesterday. Where the fuck is it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's, we all want to live in that world, but that's, not always realistic.
Yeah, sometimes even Amazon takes 3 days.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah, we have a lot of ideas on how we would like the event to be.
I think basically
you're already in the right direction. But.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And in my opinion, it's basically just like a SerialNine Drift event. The kind of cars are not fairly specific, but like I think there'll still be like a sort of a variety of cars. But I feel like the level of cars that you should expect are pretty similar.
Higher than your average drift event. It's a media intensive event.
Yeah, we do have a comp. We did, and I mean this time we had a comp and it went pretty well. But I feel like next time, I'm not really a competition guy, but I do see that it does sort of like intensify, the driving, and it makes people kind of like strive for something, and it is actually pretty cool. It brings the crowd together. So, and I mean, I'm all for like big entries and stuff like that if they're sick. I mean, I remember they used to have them at DUI. It wasn't like really super popular, but it was kind of cool because people would sort of watch and be like, yeah, that was sick.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing, right? It gives you a break from between people like running like
literally just running trains,
trains and like, and it gives people a chance to actually like push a little bit harder and try to do better. It isn't for everyone, but it is. That's the thing. The whole day is broken up, and there's enough of everything that I think it still works.
Yeah. There's enough time to do the comp or whatever if you want, and then there's enough time to chill. Oh, one thing I want to say that was kind of cool that we'd like to introduce is basically like, because it's a car show and because it's a drift event. Drift events have prizes for like, drifting type things. Car shows have prizes for like car show type things, but like we'd like to introduce sort of like an in-between where it's like you get, awards for both the car and the driving, kind of like, you know what I mean? So like
best drift spares.
Yeah, or like just, like best overall, like, not package, but you know what I mean? Like the driving is important, the car is important. And like if you can have a high level of both, then obviously that's kind of like we'd like to give some sort of award or whatever for that. And it's like it's kind of cool. Like
the guy who has like the most amazing car but like sucks at driving is on one level. The guy who has like the shittiest car but the best driving isn't at our event. So there needs to be a
Yeah. I think it would also be cool in the future. This is just a thought. And I don't
have
know
a car
how
show.
It would go. Yeah, have a
that's
car
that's
show.
yeah. That's
We'd like
exactly
we want to have it because that was the thing. It's like even the pits of the SerialNine Gala currently are like a car show. So it's like you might as well get all those cool cars to park in an area.
Yeah.
So that there's something to go and look at while there's nobody driving, or while the driver's meeting's on, or the lunch break's on, or whatever happened,
And the whole thing with us was basically we wanted to move the block party to the drift event. So now it's like you have a block party and you have a drift event. So it's kind of like
there's just drifting going on throughout.
Yeah.
So like you can have your sick car there, but you actually get to use the fucking thing too. So that's kind of sick.
You just drive your sick car and park it in the car show while you go watch this drift event.
Yeah, either or.
So I've only gone to 2 drift events this year, I feel like. I did the Spec D event. Is that what it was? Throwdown?
Yep.
And then I did this. And like the Specty event, I wrote an article and I said like, hey, there's this misconception that like I fucking hate this world. I don't hate it.
Oh, that's
I understand it.
Yeah.
But it's like I respect it, but it doesn't give me the same like feeling as when I go to something like the gala or whatever, right? Where it's like the sense of what Gerard said, drifting isn't just about like the competition or the driving, it's about the atmosphere and the environment and seeing the people. And I mean, yeah, obviously the Serial 9 event appeases those sensibilities for me, but like I definitely like I was very quickly reminded of the things that I very much like about the drift community at that event. And I thought that was like a really like kind of great takeaway.
I definitely appreciate that. I think that's what we'd like to have.
I mean, well, you're doing it. I feel like. I mean, Carter's come out 2 years in a row. That's a long drive. He could have went.
Yeah, it's 25 hours.
Yeah, he could have went somewhere else. But like he said, like when I asked, and other people are like, "Why are you going so far to drive there? Like, why?" And he's like, "Because these are the guys I want to drive with.
Yeah,
this
he's
is
a
the
drive
event
with my
that I
homies.
want to be at."
And honestly, that's something we'd like to make it. It is like a bit of a destination event.
I forgot. I had another question that I was going to ask. I can take
Boo.
So middle-aged Obi-Wan reached out and said how much he like really likes the podcast because he's like got a family and a mortgage and he kind of like understands where we're coming from. And we've done a lot of the other parts of this, but my favorite part was he said, "What's your favorite rare part you've ever owned?"
Kevin first.
That's
It's a tough question, honestly.
That is a tough question.
Oh, I prepared, so I can go first.
Okay, go first.
All right, yeah, go first.
My hood, my Veilside hood.
Yeah, that hood's pretty sick, man.
Like, look, it is one of the things I get most people reaching out, inquiring about my car. And I will say it's a bit of a pain in the ass because like it in theory requires the proprietary grill to fit in it. You can't just put any GS or Aristo like aftermarket grill in it because they change the shape of where the grill goes. So if you buy that hood, there's kind of a little bit of an expectation if you're not going to do your own like shitty thing like I did. You have to buy the Veilside part to go in there, which I'm not super keen on, and it's also super expensive. So, but I like that hood. I would also say it's probably the only really rare part I have on my car is the Veilside hood, but it's the one that most people asked about.
Oh, I have my answer.
Okay.
Well, then go.
My answer is Racing Sparco NS06 Cheetahs.
I knew you were going to say.
You knew that?
The wheels? Your Sparco wheels? Yeah, I knew it was going to, because you talk about them all the time. I was like, Gerard's going to say Sparco wheels because he loves those things.
Yeah, because like it was kind of just like a romantic story or whatever. Like I was browsing, YJ. I used to literally go through every single page of YJ instead of just looking at, sizes and names and all this stuff. And I think this one might not have been spelt wrong or something. So it was like a really weird, obscure area of YJ. It wasn't like in the 10.5J section. And it was like new old stock, these Racing Sparco wheels. And I would only ever seen these wheels like in ads. I've never, ever seen them in real life. And they were new old stock. And I bought them and they landed for like $1,300 back then. And I was just like, these are fucking so sick. They're so light. They're so rare. Like even when they were new, they were rare. So it's like, and it's cool that I have them again because I ended up selling them and then they got sold again and then they ended up back in my hands. So I'm like pretty stoked.
Yeah, no, I knew. I went through the catalog of things that you've owned that you haven't sold. And I was like, those wheels.
Crazy.
Kevin, I couldn't figure out. I was so like the Kevin answer.
The only thing I can think of is I had this Trust like Grex shift knob. That was kind of shaped like a barrel. And it's really superly heavily weighted. I think I paid pretty decent money for what, for a shift knob back in the day because I really liked it. And it just went missing from my life at some point. And I have no clue where it ended up. I definitely never sold it, but I definitely don't still have it. So that's something that I think about fairly often. And In recent years, those shift knobs have kind of come back up, and like now they're worth so much money. Like it's so silly that I would never ever replace it for what they're worth now. I literally just was looking it up, and I found someone selling stickers, replacement trust emblem pattern, $55 US for the sticker that goes in the top of that shift knob.
This is actually pretty impressive because you guys fucking make shift knobs.
Yeah.
And like the thing that you're like, this, yeah.
It's actually funny that you mentioned shift knob because I had this one shift knob that came. So I had bought this FC motor for this FC that I was going to build. It was like a S5 motor, and it had like this cool like Exity not triple plate, like a 3-disc or a 3-puck clutch and all this stuff. And it came with this fucking shift knob. And I remember like I used to love going to the wreckers back in the day and finding all these weird parts that like, you know, there's this sea of just like junk. And then you like see this like cool shift knob or cool, like, I don't know, engine part, this part, you know, this engine has like a cool oil cap or something. Anyways, it was this weird shift knob. It's shaped like the tip of a bullet or whatever. You know that one I'm talking about, Kevin?
Yeah, that's still kicking around.
Yeah, I still have it. And I remember I always loved that shift knob. It's like a weird shape. It's like basically like an arrow tip, but like, you know, circular or whatever. And I always thought that was like kind of a cool part. And I remember like I stole it from the wrecker back in the day. And I was like, yeah, this is so cool. Like, you know what I mean?
Fuck you, I'm not paying for this.
Yeah.
I always call it like the dick knob.
Yeah, it kind of, I mean, it's a weird, if you're dick shaped like that, it's pretty weird, but
yeah,
like, it definitely is dick-ish.
It's more phallic than most shift knobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not like a dick shape.
You know what's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine?
What?
Is like people that have like the ridiculous shift knobs. You know,
yeah,
like
I know
like the 10-inch bubble shift knob.
Or the beer tap.
The beer tap, and I'm probably like I fucking
the Red Bull
love
can.
beer, you know, like can't get enough of it. But no part of me is like I need to meld these two worlds together and have a fucking like
the rod end.
Yeah, like you know, so that or like.
What if you got some like poutine encased in resin?
No, I don't, because like I like to separate the things in my life.
Yeah,
so,
no, I know what
agree.
you're saying. I don't have any love for a beer tap fucking shift knob.
But you don't have any love for beer though. So like, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't have any love for like a
what if it was like a bunch of crepes?
Yeah, a bunch of what if it just looked like a bunch of rolled up crepes with nice chocolate
and then Nutella coming out.
Yeah.
And then sugar on the top.
I'm definitely not playful enough for that.
Yeah, like I just want my like car shit to be car shit and my like other shit to be other shit. Or like dudes that are like that, just kind of like and I get there was a time and a place for this, but like kind of like the silly shit on car.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm not
like
into that.
You know, like someone that would actually be like, I have a full-on dildo as my shift knob, and it's like
Yeah, I'm not into that shit at all.
You know, or like that stuff.
Well, I got a zebra seat.
Middle-aged Obi-Wan also asked fake or knockoff body kits. And I've answered this in the past, and I said, I'm fine with fake body kits. But then I realized I don't run fake body, like I don't run fake aero. And I don't think I would run fake aero, but I answered as if I was a 20-year-old who didn't give a fuck. But now I actually, and then your guys, I could feel like I can answer this for both of you. It's OEM plus is what you guys want. It's like,
honestly, no, I like aero.
Really?
I mean, and that's the thing is like it's kind of like you're saying like, oh, you're gonna get this like one-off front bumper thing. Man, if you buy a real aero, that shit's one-off as fuck, man. You're not buying a BN Sports body kit for $3,000 and not fixing it.
Yeah.
You've committed to that body kit for as long as you own that car. Like, you know,
you fucked up your front lip and then you were just like,
well, that's the thing is like that front lip like fit the bill at the time. Like it was kind of like, who cares?
Aim gain, whatever.
It was aim gain. No, it was admiration. Had aim gain sides.
Yeah.
Honestly, like truth be told, I never really even liked that lip. It just fit the car. It was easily accessible and like it kind of looked pretty cool at the time. And honestly, it worked well because when we went to Cali and shit, like if I had a front bumper, I wouldn't have come home with a front bumper. Like, you know, going into entranceways at like, you know, Waffle House or a gas station, but your car would have just been like the front bumper would have been destroyed 2 days in.
Are you talking about me?
Yeah.
Yeah, your
well,
car
Or your front lip,
a
like it
lot.
would have just been destroyed. Like,
Yeah, my car does scrape a lot. Isn't that what the internet likes? I don't know. I don't fucking know.
I mean, personally, I like when the car itself scrapes, but because when the arrow
Oh,
scrapes,
yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
you're
Fuck
like, oh,
me,
it could have
yeah.
been. No, I'm just saying, like,
I'm
it's a little
joking,
bit
I
more
don't
practical, right? Because you have a few
Look,
more
I
millimeters.
also scrape my exhaust every time I come out of my parkade. So don't worry.
Oh, that's sick. That's sick.
It's not. It's fucking a pain in the ass.
Dude,
but
exhaust scraping is the absolute least like
I don't know what to
invasive
swear.
scrape.
Yeah.
Like if
Okay,
you're
good.
scraping arrow, you know that's paint, that's cracks, that's like all sorts of shit. Exhaust is like
Right.
worst case, it rips a hole in it and you weld it up so nobody fucking can see it anyways, and it just doesn't make a
I
shitty
almost
noise.
feel like frame is like the least.
Yeah, frame
you-
is pretty least.
You
yeah.
can just scrape frame all day and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
Exhaust eventually it wears away and your car sounds fucked.
that's true.
But arrow
Yeah.
is
I
bad.
will say this, you guys. I'm pretty okay with my arrow. I can handle. I get
That's
in
good.
and out of, and
That's
yeah,
awesome.
so you're fully prepared to fix it and repaint it.
but I also
Because
drive
like
my
you're not
car-
buying new arrow, right? If that arrow gets
Yeah.
wrecked, you're not buying new arrow, right?
No, I'm not.
Are
But
you just gonna go buy a
also,
new walled lip kit?
Yeah, like
what
definitely not.
What I'm saying is, now I feel like I'm gonna jinx this, and I don't want to fucking say it.
Yeah,
You've already
don't.
I'm not. I won't say it. It's fine. All right. Here's another good one.
Try-
What part manufacturers do you guys hold in regard other than Serial9?
Oh, that's a good question. I like this one. I think you told this to us.
Yeah, I feel like we've asked this one.
We've talked about shops, like we've recommended
Yeah.
shops and people and like local businesses, but we've never said, and like there's definitely we've painted an image. So it's like I would like work wheels, and Gerard likes things that are round and go spinny spin, like that.
No, I mean I mean if we're talking about wheel like manufacturers that we hold in high regard, I would 100,000% say work. As far as a wheel manufacturer, like
What about SSR? Where do you
Work,
hold
SSR, yeah.
I mean SSR, I don't really have a lot of love for SSR. I like their one-piece wheels. I find that their multi-piece wheels are just kind of like not that great. If you're going to ask a three-piece wheel manufacturer, I'm going to say Weds. I think Weds are awesome. Weds have amazing styles. Like they always have like new crazy, like the Kranze line is insane. They had the back in the day, they had this Villains line, it's BVILL, and it was like a, like an economy line. It was super cool. All their designs are like kind of like new school, or like they're always pushing the envelope. They got the craziest wheels, Weds. I feel like SSR kind of just plays it pretty safe. You got 10 spokes, you got 8 spokes, you got 5 spokes.
That's why my boy Alex from Rare Spec loves SSRs.
Does he?
To play. Yeah, he loves SSR.
Yeah, exactly.
Loves to play it safe, that dude. No, I don't know.
Like Bazreas, LXZs, like all those wheels are fucking crazy.
So
And their photos for their catalogs were always the craziest.
So what other parts do you hold in high regard? Actually, the better question is, are there any North American companies that you hold in high regard?
I think FDF is pretty crazy. Like,
Yeah,
it's cool that it's a Canadian company. They're pushing the envelope. They're definitely like, it's cool. They have like informative YouTube videos. Their stuff isn't like astronomically priced. It seems to work really, really well. And they're Canadian. I think that's rad.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is AEM's a U.S. company, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
You
I've
don't
had a
hold
lot of
them in
AEM stuff.
You hold them in high regard, or are they just kind of like get in to get it?
Pretty,
Like it gets,
pretty like
gets the job done.
conglomerate-y, like pretty
Right.
corporate. I don't know.
Yeah.
I had their ECU. It worked. I didn't have any problems with it. It was a few connection issues and stuff.
But so not in high regard. I feel
no.
like you get.
I don't honestly even know what AEM like makes anymore. They make like have an electronics line, but I feel like their air filter and like that type of line is sort of taken over. And they used to make like even fuel components and stuff. I don't know if they even make any of that shit anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kevin, do you have any? What are your high regards?
For North American companies?
Well, yeah, because I mean, like, otherwise, I feel like we're all just gonna say shit like Ready and
Yeah.
Trust and HKS.
Honestly,
Yeah.
Trust isn't that great. Like, what's so great about Trust?
I just feel like their name inspires trust.
HKS is.
I feel like I
is
take an
miles.
HKS or Blitz part over a Greddy
Oh,
part.
interesting.
HKS is miles above Trust or Greddy.
Oh,
whatever you
so
wanna
I
call
shouldn't
it.
get a Greddy front mount intercooler.
I mean, a front man crew is fine, but you
I don't
just
think
get a Blitz
Greddy
one.
ever built like a Indy car. Like
Oh.
HKS like built their like full own Indy car. HKS is just like a super cool company.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a
I
super,
agree.
super
I agree.
sick
Yeah,
company.
HKS has like their fucking that like carbon fiber Altezza.
And that's just not one car. It's like every time there was a super lap, they would bring an HKS car.
right.
You know what I mean? The car has every single HKS part, and it's built. It's like
Yeah,
not
like
only
that
just
carbon
a normal
Evo.
yeah.
They had
all
that
their cars are
crazy
fucked up
SXE.
crazy.
Like they had those drag R32. They had the drag
Yeah.
180. Yeah, they had the like
So then is HKS the highest regard?
HKS is
In
pretty
Japan,
close to
I'm
the
gonna probably
highest.
say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
you
for
said Blitz.
Blitz is pretty cool, man. It's
Yeah, I don't know. Like
except for the wheels.
no, the wheels are fine too, man. I'm just like,
oh, come on.
to me,
Don't
it's just
change
like,
the story
look, can
now.
you look past the Blitz 03? That's the one. I don't have a problem with the Blitz
and it's not
03.
even the worst. And like to me, like Blitz is kind of cool. It's like, I don't know, you're gonna make wheels, you're gonna make intercooler kits, you're gonna make exhaust,
Exactly.
you're gonna make
There's
aero.
no Greddy wheels.
It's like Blitz, you could have an entire Blitz car. You could have Blitz seats.
Right.
Blitz, you know, like
Yeah.
it
I feel like
doesn't.
we really turned the corner on this whole Blitz thing. And I think that's really nice. You guys.
And I mean, and that's the
took
cool
2
thing.
weeks
too.
off,
I know-
and that's all it
No,
took.
I never hated Blitz 03s. First,
No, I know. Just Gerard. That's
and
the
and I don't even hate the wheels. I don't hate the wheels. I just hate that people can't look past the wheels. Like to me, a Z1, like Techno Speed Z1, is a fucking sick wheel.
yeah. We know. It's fine.
Right. Anyways, okay. So what I'm saying is those type of companies are cool. Like what Kevin said, it's like they make seats, they make wheels. Like they want to make all that stuff, but they brand all that stuff. And it's cool because that's very Serial 9. And like when people ask about, or like people look at North American companies, they do seem very like one-sided or like two-dimensional. It's like, oh, we make suspension parts. And it's like, okay, cool, nice suspension parts. Or like we make fuel components. It's like, well, like, why don't you diversify? Like you could have, I mean, you may not be the best at all those things, but you just need to have like 1 or 2 products that are really, really good in a lot of different areas. And like Blitz is kind of like that.
But maybe because some people want to be the best at it.
But half of them aren't anyways.
Yeah, no,
like you could have a suspension, like you can name like 4 suspension companies that are North American and they're not the best. And all they make is suspension.
Name
So it's like,
names, Gerard.
I ain't fucking naming names, man.
Like you make fun of like BC coilovers all the time.
I ain't
What are they gonna
fucking-
do? Pull their sponsorship on the sponsorship?
Yeah, I mean, but BC is generic and corporate and like whatever. I'm not gonna like attack like personal home-owned business or like family-owned businesses and shit. You know what I mean?
Wait, but BC isn't. You could attack BC, right? Anyway, K Sports good?
No.
There we go.
Stance. I mean, like the product itself is great.
Good. Yeah. Maybe the concern is, when you go to a restaurant and they have a giant menu and they do everything.
Yeah.
And you're like, you
Totally.
can't do everything.
You can't do everything good.
That's
Except
true,
Johnny
man.
B's, you told me they could, and I said okay, and then we went.
I love how you call it Johnny B.
I know
What
it's
is it
totally
called?
not
I don't
Johnny.
know.
It's
What
John
is
B.
it?
It's called John
It's called
B.
the B. We call it the B, but
What do
it's
you call
even
it?
because it's called the John B.
Oh, fuck. Well,
But Johnny B is funny. I like it.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
a
it.
way better name. Johnny B. Good. Fuck.
Johnny B.
There's still not a
Good.
goddamn.
Kevin's
gold mine
got
that
some
I
more highly regarded companies.
blew. Yeah, Kevin, what do you got?
I definitely don't think I do. Like,
No. What about a North
Kevin
American
fills his
wheel
car
company?
with look at me parts that he's not fully on board with all the time.
yeah, exactly. I just build what the people want. Okay.
Yeah. Clout
Give the
car.
people what they want.
Exactly.
I asked.
I should fully just do that for my next car. Just like it's like everything is a poll choice.
That's pretty.
I mean, it
good.
might not even be that bad. I guarantee
Right?
you it'll probably have Blitz 03s. I'm just kidding.
I mean, you only give them a choice between 2 options, but both of which
Yeah.
you like anyway.
Both
so,
of which are
Yeah,
terrible. ESRs or XXRs? XXR, XXRs.
yeah.
So, do you have any North
Black
American
Rhino
companies?
or TSW?
Yeah.
Do you have any?
Yo, speaking of which, I got a set of TSWs for sale.
Oh, good. Off of the stage.
Yeah, I can't even remember what they're fucking called.
I don't know. Yeah, fair. Are
North
there
American
any
wheel
North
companies.
American companies?
Bricks and Forged. Bricks and Forged.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, like they put a lot of work in, man. Like those guys have come up a lot, and I definitely feel like their designs are pretty cool, and like they're always like innovating and like trying to go to that next level, not just with the wheel designs, but with the branding and with the like, yeah, just cool company, man.
Could anyone listen to this afford one of those wheels?
Yeah, for sure. Bricks and Forged. They have they have like regular line wheels, then they have crazy wheels.
Okay.
People can afford anything, Kevin. People
I mean,
have those wheels.
I know. I mean, like
forgot
their
we're
entire
talking to Gerard.
catalog is like supercars and helicopters.
That's not true. You know who has Bricks and Forged wheels on their Tesla? Mickey.
Yeah, because he bought the car with the wheels on it.
No, he didn't. He bought the wheels separately. He did buy them used. However, they weren't
Off
that
a different
expensive.
Tesla. Yeah.
Oh, good. Apexi.
They don't even exist anymore, bro.
Oh, really?
I never cared for that company personally.
Yeah, it was always kind of whack.
Oh, interesting. Why do you say that?
The only thing I liked from
didn't
them
have
was
much clout. I feel like
I mean, I definitely used a lot of their SAFCs. SAFCs were the bomb back in the day. It was the most user-friendly,
true.
like piggyback tuner for sure.
Yeah, I had one of those.
Like I was a fucking like crack tuner with the AFC, man. That shit was dope.
definitely like a lot of N1 mufflers, but they're probably all knockoffs.
There were a lot of companies that were sort of weird, like 5Ziegen. You remember 5Ziegen?
Yeah,
Go
5Ziegen.
Ziegen?
Yeah.
It's like,
and they had the border.
yeah, the exhaust was sick,
And the
then they
fireball.
had wheels and shit, and I think they
Yeah,
had
totally.
coilovers.
Yeah.
Even Arrow they had, but like, do
Yo,
you think
just
they
like
actually made
APC,
anything?
bro?
I don't think they actually
No.
made anything. You know what I mean?
No, of course not. Or maybe they did. I don't fucking know. I'm missing a Japanese. Who does the crazy gauges that everybody buys?
Ready?
Defi.
Defi. Defi is owned by Nippon Seikei, which is actually who makes your OEM gauges.
Oh.
Yeah. So Defi is a division of like basically like an OEM.
I mean, it's all like that. Like Enki makes OEM wheels, Takata makes OEM seat belts.
Yeah.
So do we hold Defi in high
Yeah.
regard?
Yeah.
Really, really nice stuff. However,
Oh.
very expensive.
Yeah. The
Extremely
Neros.
expensive. Yeah.
All right. I feel like we've covered
Stance coilovers.
high regard.
Excellent
highest.
performance.
The highest of
Best
regard.
damping.
Best,
Mhm.
yes. Suspension run by SerialNine. All right. I think we answered some questions. We talked about the gala. I learned that Apexi was kind of whack and doesn't exist anymore, apparently. I should double check. I'm going to fact check you on that after this is over. Or I'm just living in the past, which is also
Apexi was the pioneer of the exhaust valve. You remember that? The EVC or whatever, ECV. Yeah, ECV.
I remember having like the Dory 10 knockoff equivalent,
Yeah,
but mine was definitely not Apex.
yeah.
I mean, Apexi has a website still. Is that not?
Why don't we just throw it into the mix here that we are probably planning on making wheels next year?
Do
You
wanna
can
put
use that or
out
not.
there?
Yeah, I don't know. See what Kevin
You
says.
ready for that? I feel like that should have a bigger reveal than like a tail end of an episode.
No, you can just throw it
Oh,
in.
by the way,
But then people may or may not pay attention and be like, yo, wheels? Seriously?
Yeah. I feel like you guys, when you say HKS, it then makes sense of like what you want SerialNine to be and the reason why you hold HKS in high regard.
They're the
Because,
kings.
like, they're the kings, but then you can also. That's like the thing is like you guys are continually branching out into doing more and more things, right? So not just suspension anymore.
Yeah.
Racing
I mean, we were never
wheels.
really just suspension. We were
Yeah, I
always
know,
like
but-
aero and suspension, but
But can I buy
Drivetrain.
Arrow from you right now?
yeah,
you want a new
very
hood,
certain
don't
arrow.
you? You want a fucking new hood. Oh, you know what you want? Motherfucking trunk.
A trunk?
09 trunk.
Yeah, that was always like on my list of things that I wanted.
Well, maybe we should get you one, bro.
Then I gotta get it printed. I feel like that's
Along with the rest of your arrow that you've now destroyed.
I haven't just relaxed. It's fine for now. Knock on wood. Fuck.
Well, maybe when you don't drive your car, you don't destroy your arrow, but when you
Yeah,
do
that's how
drive-
you fucking preserve the monies. Yeah, all right. I think we did it. I think we got through this. I'm glad we had this chat. Thanks
Me too.
for hanging out as always. I hope honestly, I like when people ask us questions because we
Yeah,
just
for sure.
ramble. And so please keep asking us questions,
Yeah, for sure.
or we'll just fucking get Gerard riled up again and let him go for 45 minutes like we did last episode.
What did I talk about for 45 minutes? Oh, the chase.
Chasers. You were a man possessed by.
People were like, I fucking hate you.
It was an interesting tangent for sure. Anyway, that's fine. Let's call it. Thanks. Oh, hey, what? Anyone? Is there anything that people should check out on your website?
That's new.
Just
AK-49s, man. That was one thing that the gala, we tested out those new AK-49s, and they're pretty awesome.
Yeah, many cars running them. And they will probably be for sale by the time this is up.
That's what we said the last episode, bro.
Did we?
AK-49.
Yeah. Then let's just put her up.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Check out the website for AK-49s. We'll see you guys again in 2 weeks. Bye. Bye.
See you later.
Thanks for listening to Serial Podcast 9.